Chapter 116, Monday, 11th of November. Roy Grace had one thing to do this morning, Monday morning, before setting off on honeymoon. Although they were due to leave for the airport in just over 3 hours, he left his casual clothes, which he had laid out the night before on the chair in the bedroom, put on a shirt and tie, and donned a work suit. Then he gulped down a quick bowl of porridge and a mug of tea and kissed Cleo, who was breastfeeding Noah, on the cheek and promised he would be back in plenty of time. Then he kissed his son on the forehead. "When are your parents arriving?" he asked. "They said they'll be here by 9 to collect Noah." "You sure you're not going to miss him?" He stifled a yawn and glanced at his watch. 7:20 a.m. He needed to leave now to make the 8 a.m. meeting good time, and he dared not to be late. She gave him a tight smile. "After he managed to keep us awake most of the night." "Yes, of course I will, but I'm so much looking forward to spending time with you. I'll get over it." He grinned and kissed Noah again. "Bye, my noisy little prince," he said to him. "Daddy's going to miss you too, but you're going to be spoiled rotten. I'm not sure you'll miss us at all." He grabbed his keys and hurried out to his car. 25 minutes later, he drove through the security barrier of Mailing House, the police HQ on the outskirts of Lourdes, parked in the visitors' car park, then hurried over to the Queen Anne building, which housed top brass. As ever, when entering this building, he was taken straight back to memories of being at school and being summoned to the headmaster's study. He was taken straight up to Tom Martison's offices by assistant and shown in. The chief constable was standing there in a dark uniform, trousers, a white short-sleeved shirt with epaulets featuring the crown and cross-tipped staves, and black tie, alongside ACC Cassian Pugh in his full uniform. Both men shook hands with him. "Roy," Martison said, "it's good of you to make the time to come and see us. I'm aware you're in a hurry. What time is your plane?" 2 o'clock from Gatwick, sir," he said. He smiled, trying not to show his nerves. He had been wondering what this meeting was all about ever since getting the call from the chief himself last night. He had a pretty good idea. 2 officers were dead, both working on an operation he was involved in. Someone was going to have to be held to account himself. "This won't take long, Roy," Martinson said, and glanced at Cassian Pugh, who had nodded his confirmation. "Some tea or coffee?" "Thank you, sir. Love a coffee." Martinson picked up the phone in his vast, spotless desk and requested 3 coffees, then directed Grace to one of the 2 sofas. The chief and the ACC sat on the other. Grace studied their body language, but could read no sinister message in the relaxed way they sat. Cassian Pugh brought his hands together on his lap. "Roy, the chief and I wanted to see you before you went off, because we know you must be feeling pretty bad about the loss of Sergeant Moy. We're aware you knew her personally and that you had a long professional history together. We're sure you are also feeling bad about the loss of Sergeant Morrison on the helicopter, as we all are. This has been a really difficult week for everyone in Sussex Police, and one hell of a start to my role here. There are going to be a lot of questions asked, but we felt it was important to keep our perspective." He fell silent. Grace waited for him to continue, wondering when the sting in his tail was going to strike. "You've had a damn tough job with this case, dealing with a monster, and the chief and I want to congratulate you on your handling of it. Your quick thinking undoubtedly saved the life of Miss Westwood and resulted in a highly dangerous man being brought into custody. We don't want you to blame yourself for what happened. We are both right behind you." Pugh looked at Morrison. "I'd like to echo that, Roy," the chief constable said. "Sergeant Moy died in an act of supreme bravery, which she undertook of her own accord, whilst off duty saving the life of a child, and you can in no way be blamed for her death. I also do believe that you should feel responsible for the I do not believe that you should feel responsible for the downing of the NPAS 15 and the loss of life of the personnel on board. That's really what we want to say to you. You aborted your honeymoon to take over command of a situation that had become life-threatening to Miss Westwood, and I commend you for that. I want you now to go enjoy your delayed honeymoon with a clear conscience." Grace stared back at him, amazed and very relieved. "Thank you, sir," he said. Then he turned to Cassian Pugh. Was he a changed man? He doubted it. Playing Mr. Nice Guy in front of the chief to show him that Roy had nothing to worry about, that their past antagonistic history was just that now. History, more likely. "I'm very grateful for your support, sir." Pugh smiled at him with what seemed, despite his reptilian smile, genuine warmth. "Absolutely, Roy. What's going to happen regarding the funerals?" "It will be a while before their bodies are released by the coroner," Tom Martin said. "Neither will take place until well after you are back. So we want you to go with a clear conscience, and that you did your duty, and relax and enjoy. Focus on cherishing your very beautiful and delightful Bride. The assistant came in with a tray laden with a coffee and a plate of biscuits. I'll try, Grace said. I can assure you of that. I think you know that Detective Chief Superintendent Skerritt is planning to retire next year, Roy. Martin said. Yes, sir, I had heard. Well, I hope you apply for his job. I'll like to see you in that role. He looked at Cassiopeia. I endorsed that, Roy. Grace stared at both men in turn. With Martinson, he felt it was genuine. With Cassiopeia, he wondered whether he might be handed a poison chalice. He was already doing some of his role, but was still able to be hands-on with cases when he wanted to be. Stepping into Skerritt's shoes would make that harder, particularly given all the politics now involved since the Surrey and Sussex major crime teams were merged. But it was good to be asked. I'll certainly think about it, he said. Thank you. I'm very grateful for your support. I think the one thing that is going to worry me above all else is the knowledge that whatever sentence Bryce Lawrence received, he might not be kept behind bars for long. The nightmare is never going to really end for Red Westwood, is it? She's always going to have to live with the fear that he might escape one day or get released. Roy, you're giving her a warning notice. Tom Martin said, you've offered for the police to help her change identity and move to another part of the country. She's chosen not to take that advice. All of us have to make decisions in life based on weighing up all the information we have. You've done all any police officer could to protect her. If God forbid Lawrence is released, then we and she will have to make decisions based on what we know at the time. But for now, it's job done, okay? 20 minutes later, despite all the emotions running through his mind from the past few days, Roy Grace walked back to his car with a springing step and a smile in his heart. Chapter 117, Monday, 11th of November. Red sipped her second cup of coffee of the morning and stared at the last list of 9 appointments she had for viewings today. Last week already seemed a long time ago, and the best news she started this week was that the husband of the couple she had shown around the house in Port Avenue last week, who had originally told her they had seen somewhere that Luckmore, had just phoned to say they had changed their minds again and were like now to proceed to purchase the property. She had the forms in front of her and they were coming in to sign this afternoon, and they were cash buyers. All being well, within a couple of days, the Mission McKay for sale board outside the house would have a banner across it announcing sale agreed. Her first sale, her new career was on its way. Despite the nightmare of ordeal at Tongden Lodge, she was really enjoying her job and felt she had the right qualities for it. A new email pinged on her screen with JPEG attachment. She did not realize the sender's name, but she opened the email and read it. I have a very special attachment for a very special lady, said. She double-clicked on the attachment and saw a cartoon and froze. Chapter 118, Monday, 11th of November. In the furnished consulting room in Schwabing, close to Munich's Isar River, the attractive woman in her late 30s with her black hair cropped short in a boyish fringe lay prostrate on the psychiatrist's couch. Tell me, how did you feel in the church, Sandy? The psychiatrist, Dr. Ebstock, asked. She was silent for some moments. Then she said, I felt like an alien. I realized I didn't know his world anymore, and I kept thinking what a mistake I'd made. I'd watch him turn and gaze at his bride as she walked down the aisle on the arm of someone, I guess her father, and it made me think so much of the time, almost 20 years or so ago, when I walked down the aisle on the arm of my father, and he'd turn and smile at me, and I never felt so happy or proud in my life. She paused and let out a sob. Such a big bloody mistake when I realized I wanted him back so much. I wanted to be there. I wanted to be that woman. Yet you left him. Yes, I left him. I guess I didn't know then what I know now. I wanted him back so badly, really, at that moment when the priest's guy, the vicar, asked if anyone knew any reason why they should not be joined together in holy matrimony. I nearly shouted out that I did. Really, I so nearly did. That's what I had gone there intending to do, she shrugged as the psychiatrist waited silently. Looking at him, I realized what a mistake I'd made. I wanted him back. I still do. I feel I've screwed up my life. Every day I wake up in the morning and I lie to my son. He asks me about his father and I don't tell him the truth. I'm scared I'm going to screw him up. What the hell should I do? What do you think you should do? Some days I think I should kill myself. Do you think about the consequence of that for Bruno? Bruno, yes. I think sometimes that I should mail Roy a letter telling him the truth and telling him that by the time he gets it, I'll be dead. He always wanted to have children. He could come here and take his son back to England. She continued to talk for a few minutes before Dr. Eberstadt glanced at the clock on the wall. We'll have to leave it there, he said. I'll see you on Thursday. Is that okay with you? After she closed the front door of Dr. Ebstack's building, Sandy walked out into the pavement alongside the 4 lanes of heavy traffic unwinded mistress, and stopped, staring at the wide grass bank of the Isa River across the busy street, collecting her thoughts, reflecting on her session. How many sessions had she had? Where had where were they getting her? Sometimes she left the psychiatrist's office feeling strong, but other times, like now, she felt more confused than ever. As the traffic thundered past in front of her, she wondered if now really was the time finally to tell Roy about Bruno, their son. That would sure as hell throw a spanner into his newlywed bliss. How would his blonde bimbo take the news? How would he take it? She had an idea. He was a kind man at heart, a responsible person. He would take responsibility. He would have no option. But how much did he care for the bimbo, really? He kept telling her during their life together that he could not live without her. Well, he seemed to be doing pretty well. She decided to walk along the bank of the Isa towards the English garden would do her some good, clear her head, her sodden, confused head. For an instant she was back in Brighton in England, where the traffic drove on the opposite side of the road. She looked to the right and the road was clear. She stepped out, heard the blare of horn, the scream of tires on dry tarmac. Then the cream Mercedes taxi hit her broadside. Chapter 119, Monday, 11th of November. It felt like another Groundhog Day as Roy Grace stood in his socks and placed his shoes in one of the Gatwick airport's security tray, along with his jacket, mobile phone, laptop, watch, and belt. He had done exactly the same thing a week ago, to the hour, if not almost to the minute. He followed Cleo through the metal detector, and to his relief again, neither of them pinged it. As he pulled his shoe back on, his son was grey, but hanging on to both of their tickets again. This time round, he managed to keep from her that they were flying in luxury. If anything, he was even more excited than a week ago, his excitement fueled by his determination that this time nothing was going to stop them. Then his phone rang. He looked at Cleo and she grinned. He picked it up out of the grey tray and stared at this display. The number withheld message meant almost certainly that it was work. I'm not answering it. You will, she said with a grin and kissed him. No, I won't. He killed the call. Moments later, the phone rang again. He hesitated. It could be any number of people calling him from a number of reasons, but he didn't care. He did not really care this time. Whatever the problem, if there was a problem for the next few days, it was not his. Roy Grace, he answered. See? Cleo said gleefully. He grinned and blew a silent kiss at her. It was Glenn Branson. Well, where are you, Tom? On a gondola on the Rialto? Very funny. You want me to buy your cornetto? Just one. Listen, I'm just finishing going through security at Gatwick. Can I call you back? Yeah, but don't want to disturb your honeymoon. You just have. What's up? Well, here's the thing. Bryce Lawrence on remand in Lewis prison on murder charges, right? Which means no bail. So he'll be there until the end of his trial, but he's trying to get at her. I had a call from her a little while ago, very upset. She's had a cartoon email to her, but it would seem Lauren. I thought prisoners didn't have access to email and lose prison, mate. He signaled an apology to Cleo. What was the cartoon? It depicted her in a crosshair gun sight, wearing an eye patch, surrounded by flames and swirling wind. It was captioned to the Queen of the Slipstream. Enjoy your last days on Earth. Van Morrison, Grace said. Van Morrison, the song. Enjoy your last days on Earth, Branson queried. No, Queen of the Slipstream. I thought you knew your music. Yeah, I do, but not your trashy white man stuff. He played at the wedding. Did you have your thumbs in your ear or something? Grinning, Grace removed his belt from the tray and holding the phone to his ear with his shoulder began threading it back through the loops on his trousers. Okay, so tell me more about the cartoon. I spoke to the Deputy Governor at Lewes, Alan Seddington. He says it's possible it could have been sent from within the prisons despite the ban on internet connections, or maybe Lauren had someone else outside do it. But I thought you should know something of concern. Seddington told me a prisoner informed him this morning that Lauren is trying to hire a hitman to kill Red. He's put out word that he's offering around 50 grand cash for a result. Has he found a taker? Doesn't sound like it yet. The man Lauren thinks might do it, told Seddington earlier today. So what are your thoughts? If we could find that 50 grand stash, then we'll have spiked Lawrence guns. My thoughts exactly, said Grace. We're on the same page. Seddington had better get his colleagues eavesdropping on Lauren. We need to listen to every conversation he has. Correction, you need to listen. You don't sound as worried as you might, boss, Glenn Branson said. No, I'm not, because you're in charge and I've got every faith in you. Have a good week. I'll see you next Monday morning. Yeah, but hang on, old timer. Roy Grace hung up, then he switched his phone off altogether. He worked his butt off to keep the city of Brighton and the whole success safe for the past 20 years. It would now have to cope for 1 week without him. I've never seen you do that before, Cleo said with a massive smile. Yeah, well, I've never have been on honeymoon with you before. He slips his arm around her, and I don't intend wasting another second of it. She looked at him with a huge warm grin. Now, why don't I believe that? You without your phone on. She shook her head. It's not going to happen. It is. You're not going to pick up your messages for the whole time. Well, maybe I'll check them, just occasionally in case. See, you can't, can you? And I wouldn't want you to. I don't want you to change, or I love you as you are. She put her arms around his neck and kissed him. Chapter 120, Tuesday, 12th of November. The sodding towel he had put up over the window to block out the glare from the security lights outside had fallen down, and the tiny cell was filled with weak yellow glow. How the fuck could anyone sleep on this hard, absurdly narrow bed? And with this bloody light, Bryce Lauren thought. He rolled over for the umpteenth time, feeling the coarse blanket against his face and shivering with cold. His left eye was bandaged and still hurt like hell from what that bitch had dug her nails in. The prison doctors were arranging for him to see a specialist because he was worried about the extent of damage, expressing concern that he might be permanent and irreversible blind in one eye. He was going to get even with Red for that. Somewhere in the block he heard another prisoner shouting out in his sleep, having a damn nightmare. This place was a nightmare. So much swirled through his head, an angry mist of thoughts and plans. Oh yes, he had plans. New plans forming all the time. He was working on one now. It was a beautiful one, masterly. It would ensure Red never, ever felt self again for the rest of her life. Although, if all went well, there was going to be a very short time. Suddenly he noticed the sound of trickling water, as if someone had left a tap running. Who? Where? In the next door sill? How long had it been going on? Had he left the tap running in here, or was it assistant of his toilet? He closed his eyes to shut it out, but it seemed to be getting worse, louder, running faster. A distinct gurgle sound now, almost echoing the silence of the night. Then he smelled petrol. He found petrol. Who had petrol in here? Were they using it in a heater? The smell was getting stronger. He now heard a sound like a lapping water running up the beach, and suddenly anxiety, he swung his legs off his bunk and onto the floor. They splashed into something wet. He took a tentative step forward. Shit, the floor was wet with petrol. Shit. The gurgling sound continued. More was pouring in every second. What the hell's going on? Outside, prisoner 076569 cells door. Another prisoner Lewis Remandman continued to squeeze the reservoir bag of the water pouch, which was destined for cyclists, letting all the 3 pints of petrol pour via the drinking tube through the cell in an undated point in Bryce Lawrence's cell door. Hey, Lawrence said, his voice panting. Hey, what's going on? It's nearly lighting up time, his antagonist replied in a soft Irish lilt. Then he switched on a torch and shone the beam on his own face, which was close to the grill. Boo! He laughed as Lauren recoiled in shock. Who the hell are you? Lauren asked, fumbling for the light switch in his cell, but momentarily unable to find it. A friend of a friend who doesn't like you. We're like-minded, him and I. We don't like men who hurt women. We've got a pretty long track record of hurting women. You've got a pretty long track record of hurting women. I say, you like playing with fire, don't you? Warden. And Lauren shouted, scared now. Then remembering that they didn't like being called that, he shouted in a panic-stricken, Officer! There's only one prison officer on duty this floor, the Irishman said. He doesn't like you very much either. You see, you murdered his cousin and set fire to his body just a couple of weeks back. Remember him up at the golf course, Dr. Carl Murphy? Officer, Lauren shouted. Relax, Bryce, he's not interested. He'll come when I call him to lock me back in my cell. Then he'll open yours and throw it in his water pouch. Whatever remains of it for the forensic boys. Everyone will think, with all you've been saying about killing yourself, that you smuggled it in yourself. I mean, I would. Hey, I do. Officer, Lawrence screamed home. Officer. The Irishman suddenly stuck a cigarette in his mouth and flicked the wheel of a plastic lighter, then lit the cigarette from the flame. Lauren jumped back into the darkness of the cell at the side of it. The Irishman dragged on his cigarette again. Put that out, for God's sake, put it out. Relax, tut, I'm surprised as an experienced pyromaniac like you, Bryce, all surrounded by petrol, being scared of a cigarette. Don't you know your basics, Bryce? Everyone who's ever tried knows that a cigarette doesn't burn hot enough to ignite petrol. He took another drag. But you shitty little woman abuser, he went on. A light started cigarette with a tiny strip of magnesium in the middle will, just as soon as the flame hits the magnesium, which in this case will be in about 5 seconds, then he pushed the half-smoked cigarette through the grill. Thanks for listening. That's the end.